this year brought throngs to churches of all denominations throughout the land. This scene in the Pilgrim Baptist Church, Chicago, is typical. The choir sings joyously of the resurrection of Christ. Christians raise their voices in prayer, glorifying their God.
I remember growing up as a child. I would always listen to the many stories my mother would tell me about how their family got so excited about preparing for the big day, Easter. She would often talk about how they would get dressed up, put on their best clothes. But funny thing, I don't remember hearing much about the sermon itself. But what I do remember is what happened after the sermon. People would go out back behind the church or head to the nearest grove or park where they would gather for a massive picnic. Folks from all over would come, she would tell me. Everyone brought their best meals and people would just sit and be. They'd share stories, share plates, laugh, reminisce. It was a beautiful time. It was a place where memories were made, where legacies were created and passed down. Even in my own childhood, I don't really remember Easter being that big of a thing, but I do remember when my family would oftentimes meet at the city park for a big old cookout. Man, we would play games, baseball, tag, hide and seek. The kids had all the soda they could drink. It was just a really fun time. But fast forward to today, and what we have now is something different. Something I've been talking about a lot lately on this platform. These celebrations, once moments for joy, for laughter, for making long-lasting memories, have now become days of mourning. Days of sadness and pain. It's quite something to sit back and to watch how what we call black culture has become almost tone deaf to it all. The shootings, the arguments, the beatdowns. It's like it is, in fact, the new black culture. And when we hear these stories, what do? We scroll, we sigh, and we move on. Now, just this past weekend, a horror movie called Sinners was just released. It's a black horror film, getting a lot of rave reviews. But I'm going to tell you about a real horror story. It's actually multiple horror stories. These stories actually took place all this weekend, Easter weekend 2025. And sadly, not many people are even paying attention. Now let's take a look at this weekend's release.
Bro, this is how my baby room is.
A room frozen in time.
I ain't really been in here since this morning.
Dreams cut short.
When we just was at his college on April 5th.
For Tawanda Staten, this Easter Sunday changed everything.
Opened that door and saw them two detectives. Felt like everything in me just left.
Those detectives sharing that her son, 17-year-old Donnell Jones, was shot and killed early Sunday morning.
He just wanted to go to a party with his friend.
Milwaukee police say it happened just after 3 in the morning near 23rd and Townsend. Donnell and a 20-year-old were shot and taken to the hospital where Donnell died.
He was an awesome kid. He was amazing. I couldn't ask God for nothing better.
Donnell was a senior at Milwaukee Lutheran, where he was a running back for the football team.
17 years old with a dream and goals.
One of those dreams, attending college. The teen was accepted last month to Northern Illinois University, where he planned to study medical science.
He wanted to graduate. He wanted to go to college.
His cousin, Veronica, was helping to plan his graduation celebrations next month.
Like to get his hair done. I was sending her people from on Facebook.
Instead of a graduation party, they're now planning a funeral.
The violence needs to stop. Like, it's too many.
This family wondering when it will stop.
You're going to keep on saying the same thing like a broken record. Just keep on playing. Put the guns down. Put the guns down. Keep the guns out the hands of the kids.
As they deal with a tragedy this Easter Sunday, they're looking to faith to carry them through.
God rose, and it was brought to my attention. My son rose today, too, because I know he with him.
In Milwaukee, Kaylee Starrell, TMJ4 News.
Were also shot during another Easter celebration in Gainesville last night. Officials say 3 adults were shot around 8:15 at an Easter egg hunt at TB McPherson Park on Southeast 15th Street. At this moment, we have very limited information, but we'll continue to keep you updated on any suspects and the victims' conditions when we get those details. But detectives do ask anyone with information to contact the Alachua County Crime Stoppers. A GPD officer tells TV20 that between 1,000 to 2,000 people were in attendance.
This new video just into our newsroom in the last hour. It shows the moments gunfire actually broke out during an Easter egg hunt. This is in Gainesville. Surveillance video shows the crowd scattering as shots rang out. This video is only 6 seconds long, so we're going to slow it down for you. So early on in this video, you can actually see smoke in this area, and a couple falls to the ground. They're down here. That couple falls to the ground to protect their child. Now, meanwhile, in this highlighted video right here in the rectangle, the man in the red shorts there, you can see that man firing a gun, and then behind him as he runs, that couple once again protecting their child. But you see the man accused of firing that gun running there out of frame. In the end, we know that 3 people were shot. So far, no arrests have been made.
Investigation into a deadly Easter shooting continues in Ruston tonight. Witnesses say it was between family members. Jasmine Bingham reports.
It does make me a little worried because it is kind of in the same vicinity as me.
Ruston police reports say it happened around 10 p.m. Sunday. At the time of the shooting, officers were in a nearby parking lot responding to a large crowd. When gunshots sounded, officers quickly arrived at the scene and began to give first aid to victims. In a statement, police say so far it appears the incident was a part of an argument among family members. The statement continues that the conflict began earlier in the day at Mayfield Park and escalated where multiple people involved were armed with handguns. The shooting left 1 man dead and 5 others injured. A local resident said she heard screams. She asked to remain anonymous for this interview.
I was actually playing my game inside, and I would hear a whole bunch of ruckus and a whole bunch of cars, so I would come periodically check, and around 10-ish, I heard 2 shots go off, and I just immediately sprinted to my door and sprinted to my window and started looking. I just saw people running, screaming, and people were speeding off, honking cars, and roughly 10 minutes later, not even 10 minutes later, the cops were here, and people were still just trying to get out and get away.
Those injured were taken to a local hospital in private vehicles. The local resident says it's uncommon for violence like this to happen in Ruston.
When I first came to Ruston, the only thing that really happened was the stabbing that happened last year. This is really the first thing with gun violence I've seen here since I've been here. It does make me a little worried because it is kind of in the same vicinity as me, but it's not too common.
The investigation is ongoing. Ruston Police Department encourages anyone with more information to come forward. In Ruston, Jasmine Bingham, KNOE 8 News.
And is dead following a shooting and crash on Bardstown Road early Sunday morning.
WDRB's Joel Skipper spoke to that man's brother about what ended up being an extremely difficult Easter for them. Joel.
Yeah, Fallon and Scott, that happened very early yesterday morning here behind me on Bardstown Road. That was Easter morning, a day where so many families celebrate love and joy, but for one Louisville family, they're now experiencing grief.
Brennan Johnson spent Monday morning cleaning up what was supposed to be a joyous Easter party. Just hours earlier, he received a call his brother, 35-year-old Bryant Johnson, was shot.
I thought immediately, nah, this isn't real. It probably wasn't him, or if it was, it had to be an accident.
Police say it happened around 3:30 Easter Sunday morning on Bardstown Road just north of the Taco Bell. There, they say Bryant Johnson was shot in the groin and managed to drive himself just a few hundred feet down the road, where he crashed into a car at the intersection of Bardstown and Baxter Avenue. He died at the hospital from gunshot wounds. The driver of the second vehicle was not seriously hurt.
I couldn't write anybody and say Happy Easter. Wasn't a happy day for me.
According to Johnson, Bryant was a huge sports fan, but his true love and passion was his 3-year-old daughter.
Beautiful smile, and he can bring a smile out of anybody because he's funny, charismatic guy.
The two brothers were adopted together when they were teens and grew up in a big family, always close and making their family a priority. Johnson wants any businesses nearby that may have surveillance footage of the incident to help solve the case, one he's optimistic will come to justice.
I do feel like it will happen eventually. I want everybody to know that my brother is still shining bright. He's still here with us, and he's living through us.
One person is dead and 2 injured after an Easter shooting at a Moultrie apartment complex.
As WALB News 10's Mackenzie Blaze reports, residents of the apartment complex say they want that violence to stop.
Police say the shooting occurred here on Shy Manor Drive, right in front of the Shy Manor Terrace apartment complex. At approximately 1:30 a.m. on Easter Sunday, Moultrie PD said they received multiple calls of a shooting, and a few minutes later, they arrived on scene.
At the shooting, 3 people had been injured. 1 was listed as critical. And when I arrived, I had learned from the hospital staff that that individual had passed, and the other 2 had non-life-threatening injuries.
22-year-old Reginald Tammer was shot and killed. 2 other males, a 16-year-old and a 25-year-old, were shot in the foot and shoulder, respectively.
And we was having fun for them, and a crowd of people just walked up to the whole situation and started shooting in the crowd. It couldn't have been any of us that got hit.
Investigators say the gunfire started after the father of a teenage girl went to the apartment complex to confront people she had argued with earlier in the evening.
He went to, along with his juvenile daughter, went to the Shy Manor apartments to confront the other girls who were not there. And there was a large crowd there at the apartment complex, and an argument ensued, and that's when the gunshots rang out.
Police identified the suspect as 39-year-old Bryce Johnson. They arrested Johnson, who is currently being held in the Colquitt County Jail while the investigation continues. Reginald R.J. Tammer's closest friends say he was incredibly funny and made his presence known in every room he was in. Police say the 3 men shot had no relation to the suspect.
You should not see your friend laying on the ground fighting for his life.
Shy Manor residents say RJ didn't have to die, and they want justice for him and his family. I'm Mackenzie Blaze with WALB, your hometown news source.
Tracking crime in Gallatin now. 2 people are injured and a confirmed gang member is arrested after a shooting breaks out during an Easter egg hunt. According to Gallatin police, this happened around 7:30 last night during an Easter party on South Maple Avenue. 2 victims were taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds. The suspect, LaDavius William, has been charged with attempted criminal homicide, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment. This investigation is still ongoing, so if you have any information, you're asked to call Gallatin Police.
Terrifying moments on a quiet Easter Sunday as bullets rip into cars and homes, a neighborhood littered with glass and shot markers. And everyone is on edge because whoever did this is still out there. Aria Janelle has the breaking details.
The good news, neighbors tell me no one was hurt. Their property was just badly damaged. Many of the neighbors that I spoke with didn't want to go on camera today. They say they're afraid to because they don't know who did this.
Today is Easter Sunday. What is wrong with people?
A neighborhood brought to tears as bullet casings and glass litter their normally quiet street.
Me and my dog in the bed. All I heard was boom, 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 boom. It stopped, then it started again.
Police were called to the corner of West 43rd and Hyde Avenue. Our team watched them mark dozens of evidence, take pictures of several cars with shattered windows and homes like this with bullet holes.
I heard lots of shots, and then I ducked between my bed and my wall and got off the bed.
This neighbor tells me he heard about 30 shots. It wasn't until after the shooting that he found the casing laying on his dog's bed, inches from his own.
I want this to stop in my neighborhood. I want this to stop.
Neighbors tell me they didn't see who did this, but are hoping someone's security camera was able to catch the bad guys.
Something got to be done about this.
If you have any information about what happened here, you're asked to call Cleveland Police. Here in Cleveland, I'm Aria Janelle, 19 News.
New developments in a deadly domestic dispute in Birmingham. Police have just identified the man they say was hit and pinned against a house by the mother of his children.
This all unfolding during a birthday and Easter celebration last night. ABC 3340's Gracie Johnson joins us live with the latest.
Brenda, investigators say 27-year-old McKees James Bostic died after being hit, but an autopsy will determine his exact cause of death. Now, I'm told an argument between Bostic and his children's mother escalated to the point where a gun was involved and eventually led to his death.
A deadly act of rage between a mother and father unfolded with their children possibly in the back seat. Birmingham police say they responded to a chaotic scene on Lisa Lane around 9:50 Easter Sunday night. It was initially 4 shots being fired, but while en route, officers received an update.
Officers were updated that a female was trying to run over a male in a vehicle.
Investigators found 27-year-old McKees James Bostic pinned between a vehicle and a house where a birthday party and Easter celebration had taken place.
The female suspect did in fact run over the male. He was trapped between the vehicle and a house.
Investigators say the incident stemmed from a domestic argument between Bostic and a woman he shares children with. A large crowd, including family members and children, witnessed the incident. It got so chaotic, Birmingham police had to call a max emergency for all officers to respond to the scene.
There's a large commotion. Family members were visibly upset because their loved one was just hit, and officers could not get the scene under control with East Precinct officers.
Under Alabama law, this deadly incident could mean serious charges if intent is determined.
Because those kids were there, this can now be a capital murder case. Because anytime in Alabama when there's a child that the couple shares in common that's under the age of 14, you now could be looking at capital murder.
Dallas shooting. 1 killed in Easter morning shooting in West Dallas. About 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, Dallas police responded to a call about a shooting on Burnout Drive, not far from I-30 and Walton Walker. Investigators say that one person had been shot in the area. Marisha Givens, 24, was pronounced dead at the scene. April 21st, 2025. A 17-year-old is dead and 2 other people are listed in fair condition following an Easter shooting in Street North last night. Just before 6 p.m., Street North police officers were dispatched to the intersection of Main and Sterling Streets about possible gunshots. Upon arrival at the scene, officers found evidence that confirmed multiple shots had been fired in the area. 2 vehicles were identified as having been involved. One of the vehicles was located at OSF in Stretmore. The occupants of the vehicle sustained injuries. The deceased reportedly was 17-year-old passenger in this vehicle. Now, if you think this kind of violent, self-hating behavior only happens on Easter, then I'm sad to report that this kind of stuff happens every day within what we call black culture. Now it's been normalized and absorbed. Now, am I saying that all black individuals conduct themselves in a way that we just saw in these news reports? Of course not. I'm not saying that. But what we call black culture is going to need to be thoroughly inspected. Tough decisions must be made, and ultimately separation must happen. Because this culture right here, it is, in fact, a death culture. And in a death culture, even good legacies and traditions ultimately will meet a very tragic end. Join us as we continue to discuss this very important topic while continuing to offer real solutions.